top brand that wants to launch a fragrance, they go with it. I'm talking worldwide. I'm not talking just direct selling. I'm talking everything. Direct selling, retailers, multi-level stores, own brands, everything. So please take advantage of today because having the #1 worldwide is absolutely huge. I have my friend Jorge. He is based on Mexico, but if you want to present yourself.
For sure. First of all, I thank you so much for the opportunity to Jafra, to Estelle, to bring us the opportunity to feel like a celebrity today because we feel very proud, and I am your commercial director, totally servicing, totally at the backstage of your success, and we want you to create more success. IFF is #1 fine fragrance house in the world. We operate in Paris, Sao Paulo, New York, in many places, creating the success behind brands like Yves Saint Laurent. We have a famous, let's say, La Vie est Belle. We have many Lancome's fragrances. So feel proud that your best sellers and your classic and your upcoming success, a lot of upcoming success, thinking about US, thinking about your market, is gonna be produced with girls like Natasha. Natasha is one of our top perfumers based in New York City. Welcome, Natasha.
Thanks for having us.
So Natasha is Brazilian.
Well, actually, I'm French Canadian.
So why do I speak Portuguese with you all the time? Because you were based in Brazil.
Yeah, I was fascinated by the door-to-door. I was fascinated by the local South American perfumery. So I went to live in Sao Paulo for 3 years to learn about the Mexican market, the Colombian market, the Brazilian market, and I've been doing fragrances for the US market for a decade. So I think every region brings its personal, its originality. So that's why I was in Sao Paulo, learning some more about perfumery.
And that's why, because I was always talking with her in Portuguese.
It's Portuguese.
So we see each other and we talk in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So do you want to present the rest of your team so then I can leave you alone?
Yes. Lucia.
Hi, I'm Lucia. I'm a fragrance evaluator. I will explain to you very fast what does a fragrance evaluator do. So I'm the link between you and her. So I'm the one who works directly with the perfumers, and I am trying to explain which notes we can include in the fragrances, which notes are not that like for the market. So I'm this link between you, the consumers, and the perfumers.
Paulina.
And I am Paulina González de Castilla. I am the commercial side. So we create all of our value propositions based on what Jafra is looking for, and to give you the opportunity to be able to create an experience for everyone else on the 360 side.
For us, it's very important to bring the US knowledge and the US smart and the marketing intelligence. That's why there is a guy behind. Paul, it's your time. Is he listening?
Can I add something? IFF is the only American company that develops fragrances and flavors. So we are masters at the American market. We developed the US perfumery. We were the house that really developed this. So keep that in mind when you think about IFF. We really know a lot also about the US. And it's the only fragrance house that is based in the US, the headquarters.
I feel proud because when we open projects and we say Jafra is opening a new brief, a new opportunity, our perfumers in New York, in Paris, in Sao Paulo, they are truly interested to participate because your company is well known inside our best and top perfumers. So for us, is to bring the whole resources of the company, US-based company, and we feel proud to be today, and for sure we will support you rightly as you did guide us and the Jafra team. For sure you will be more successful.
So thank you so much. Andrea, do you want to add something before we start?
Yes, I'm super excited for you all to experience this specific presentation. We tend to think that, Jafra fragrances are just bottles of juice and we just slap our name on them and that's it. But no, there is such a process, such a story, such an artisanal approach when they're creating these fragrances. Really every single juice that we have is really handcrafted, from perfumers, from teams like this, with the most fine fragrances and notes. And so I want you all to really, really, open your minds this morning as to what it is that we're trying to evoke, because the same bottles that have our brand on them have been touched by these experts that are known worldwide. So I invite you all to learn and really experience a new way of thinking about Jafra fragrances.
Why we are number one? Because
You let them know, let me sit down.
Yeah.
So let's give her a hand. Thank you so much.
we are number one because we invest to create the best molecules, the best natural ingredients coming from different parts of the world. But it's not natural ingredient, it's a responsible natural ingredient across the whole chain, and also bringing with respect and also with great raw materials. So your fragrances are not possible to be, and this is the reason, to be imitated, to be followed by anybody, because it has the most prestigious, high-end raw materials, molecules inside.
I guess what we want to leave you with is that your fragrances are in quality equal to those fragrances that are being launched international. There's no secret raw materials we're using for yours and not. No, they're the same raw materials, the exact same qualities, the same perfumers. So that's what we want to leave you with. The quality is the same. Yeah, exactly. So please ask questions if you have questions, because it'll be a little bit more engaging, and if there's anything we can answer, it's our pleasure, okay?
Okay, so we're gonna start with a small olfactive training. We just want to give you a lot of hints, a lot of ideas on how we can present the fragrances to our consumers. How can we give you small tips so that you can know better the fragrances and also know better how we create these fragrances. So we're gonna try to do it very quick, very dynamic. You're gonna have a lot of experience, but that's part of this. So please, as Natasha says, feel free to ask any question you would like to say. We're open to know and to answer. So first of all, we wanted to present IFF. He already presented, we are at our parents' house. So just for you to know more about IFF, this is some of the most iconic fragrances coming from IFF. So probably you have seen fragrances in the market, everywhere. So just as Natasha said, are the same raw materials, the same creators. We work all together. So we have very nice fragrances in the market, and we know these fragrances. So.
And the thing is that IFF, we're not trying to just launch a fragrance to get on the market and get out. No, what we're trying to do is create fragrances that last in the market, that change olfactive signatures. Like for instance, when La Vie Belle was launched, it was a new style of fragrance. It had this like woodiness with a piece of orris inside. So that's what we're doing at IFF, is changing the landscape of perfumery as each decade comes. So, because it's easy to launch a fragrance, but you want it to stay, right? You want it to last the road. So I just want to point out some fragrances here, like La Vie Belle, from Macon, Trésor. I'm sure you've all smelled beautiful from Estée Lauder, an icon in the market. Dolce, from Dolce Gabbana, Aromatics Elixir from Estée Lauder, amazing. Flower Bomb, for instance, this Polo, the original Polo Green, which a fragrance will smell today, is created by the same perfumer, who also created Sao Paulo Blue. So just keep that in mind. We have a lot of classics in the market, and we're constantly creating more, because that's our yeah, sure.
Maybe a little bit weird, but can you tell me what the notes are in La Vie Belle?
La Vie Belle is gourmand. It's like a gustative, like when you smell, you want to eat it.
Yeah.
And it has a woodiness in the back, which is brought by patchouli. And it has a piece of orris, which adds texture. I don't know if you have orris, but like the orris flower, it's a little bit rooty, it's a little bit buttery-like. So this gives a new paradigm to a family we call the sheep family.
That's a great description. It reminds me a little of Jafra's Reflections, the new one that's gold, not the other one that's
Okay.
silver. They strike me as the same, and they stick on my skin the same, for lack of a better description. I
So-
love the way that they seem to soak in. I'm
Yeah.
wearing the Reflections right now, and it reminds me of that.
Okay, perfect. So it does help if you see something that, like for instance, this reminds me of this. It can help to see what notes are in common and the structure of the fragrance. Because we do tend to look at fragrance in terms of an architecture, like a building or something like that. The fragrance also has an architecture, like a signature. Like when you smell it, you recognize it. It's like a building. When you see it, you recognize it. But fragrance it's really emotionally and something you can't explain.
I think it's important you to know that we are also here to learn from you.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to say, whatever dream you have, whatever you want to express, please say it, because I led this opportunity to present Paul. Paul coming. Paul was backstage and tried to solve other things. He's from the marketing US team. He's based in New York. He's French also, but he grew in Spain, Canada, New York, and many other countries. So he's here also to listen to you, because we are preparing the new launches and the new proactivity, the new inspirations. So feel free and welcome, Paul. He was backstage, but he wants to. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna start with just a small myth about the perfumery that people ask us always. Why if I put a fragrance, at the moment it smells like something, and then probably 1 hour later it smells a little bit different? But it's not just magic, it's just the base of the perfumery. So why does this fragrance will change? It's because it is composed by olfactive notes, just like a music. We have different notes, different accords, that when we create these fragrances, it will change along the time. That's why when we start smelling a fragrance, it will change through the time, and it's totally normal, and it's part of the composition we want to create with the fragrances. So Natasha will help us explain more fast about this olfactive paradigm.
Sure. So this is what I was touching a little bit. This is the architecture. So we tend to look at fragrances in like a pyramid style, and the classic way of looking at a fragrance is it has a top note. It's what you smell when you spray it. Or we sometimes say the hook, the person smells is like, ooh, what's that? And then that's when you keep smelling it to smell the mid notes. And then the mid notes are like, could be like maybe 20 minutes to a few hours, depending on what you're using. And the base notes are what you're smelling hours into it and even days. So what are top notes? It's something that evaporates quickly in time. Citrus, you have some spices, some fruits. Those are the things that on top that are gonna grab your attention. The middle notes is where you're gonna find, for me, the personality of the fragrance, the femininity, the flowers. Some spices that are a little bit more heavy, like maybe nutmeg, or some cinnamons, or even some heavier fruits that kind of go sweet. And then the bottom notes is where you find the fixation. What you're smelling like when you sprayed the fragrance maybe 4 or 5 hours after, or when a person leaves the room or you're wearing somebody's scarf and you smell the scarf and it reminds me of that person. Well, you're smelling the base notes. It's what stays: musk, woods, resins, all these things that are much heavier.
So here is just another myth that we have erased about the fixation. Normally people think, you add a special magic fragrance, a special magic ingredient to the fragrance so that it will last more. That's totally myth. So that's why I wish perfumers wish there was a special magic substance that you add to the fragrance and then it will last 3 days. Of course, it's amazing. What we need is perfumers, and they of course know the fragrances, and they know how to construct the fragrances in a perfect way so that this pyramid will be exactly the way we want it, and that it's gonna last as long as we want it to last, and that's the magic of the perfumer.
And there is a myth that says that if the fragrance lasts longer, it's more qualitative. Well, I disagree. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It doesn't mean because your fragrance lasts 5 days on your skin, like that's money, baby. It could be like a citrus fragrance where you use the most elegant notes from Sicily of lemon and bergamot. So I just want to leave you with that. That's the biggest myth, and that's the myth that we're all the time with perfumers we're trying to break, because it doesn't mean because it lasts longer that it's more qualitative. So that's an interesting myth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
I have, how can I convey that to people, because it's so
Yeah.
common that they're like, oh, you know, it has more oil, it's an eau de parfum, it's more expensive, it lasts longer, all this stuff. How can I convey what you just said?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah,
sure, please.
There is a fragrance for many different occasions,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes, you know, on a day like today, you just want something fresh, and because, you know, it's a work day and whatnot. But maybe because you're here, it's a special occasion, so at night, you're gonna want something that's a little bit more dramatic, a little bit heavier, a little bit of that more long lastingness, right? So it literally just depends. A fragrance, just as we have our wardrobes at home, you know, a staple that everyone should have is black pants, and you can dress it in any way that you like. Same thing with a fragrance. We need to teach our clients that they should have a fragrance wardrobe. Okay, because there is a different occasion for different things. You know, I don't wear this on the weekends, you know, to go see my son, you know, play taekwondo, right? But there's a moment and a time and a place for different things, and the same goes for fragrances. So sometimes you want that long lastingness to either make a statement, and sometimes you just want to refresh yourself throughout the day. So there's different reasons why. And actually, when the perfumers create those fragrances, they know in advance what kind of fragrance we want. Do we want a long-lasting one? Do we want a quick and fresh one? That's why she's saying that just because it lasts long doesn't mean that there's a lot of benefits or that it has more quality. It's because we constructed it that way, we wanted it that way, because that fragrance is for a specific moment in time.
What she said.
I think as the fragrance starts from the heart, we need to make our people trust on your feelings and hearts.
Yes.
Because this is what it's all about. So even though we want to have a fragrance to show the world or to be noticed by the world, start from our hearts.
Yes.
Start from our soul.
Yes.
So trust them.
Our personal experience.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this is the experience, because nobody feels and experiences the same
No.
as everybody.
You gotta live it in
So
order
we
to
can
pass it to
ask
the other
our
ones.
people, trust on your feelings.
Yes.
Trust on the experience Jafra is creating for you. That I am with you and we are selling to you is a present to you. It's a precious present. So make people believe in their feelings. This is the new world.
Woo!
I need to add something, exactly what Jorge just said. It is from the heart. If you see our fragrances as, I want to hide it from my client, I don't want her to see it,
No.
right? When you
No.
speak about it, she's gonna take that feeling from you. And she's gonna think, well, you're not proud, so why am I,
Exactly.
you know? So it really, really comes from us. It starts from us
Now we're
first.
talking my language.
So if you believe in it, and when you speak about it, just as you hear me speak right now, you know that I love it.
Yes.
You know that I love it.
And
There's
they'll
no
buy
doubt
it.
in your mind.
If not, they won't buy it.
If not, they won't buy it.
Yes.
If you don't believe in it, they won't believe
They
it.
won't.
And everything that you're telling us today and how you're even speaking, I'm trying to absorb every second because I want to take this home and be able to speak like this. I know that a French accent would help. This is all I got.
Well, you're talking to the American House of Perfumery. And so it's not necessarily a French accent. So that's also, the thing about IFF is we started perfumery with women.
Wow.
So we started perfumery by empowering women making fragrances. So like this is exactly what you guys are talking about. Empowering women to go out there and empowering others.
Yes.
So I don't know. About the French accent.
I have a question. Is there a specific notes that are best for people that have problem with fragrance, like allergies to fragrance? Is there certain notes that are easier to have them try?
Well, if somebody has an allergy to fragrance,
Is there, or are there certain notes that are more allergenic than others to people?
We have, sorry that I interrupt, please. Every time we create a fragrance, probably you will see the fragrance just here in the bottle and you think, oh, there's a fragrance. For us, backstage, there is such a long process that we have to certificate each fragrance that we are gonna provide you. We have to certificate that it will follow all the rules, that it will follow, we will try to go for all the people, even if they have any type of allergic reaction or whatever. We have the exact dosage that is allowed for all the people to use. So every time I ask Natasha for a fragrance, she is not like magically putting all the ingredients. No, she knows exactly which amount of fragrance we are gonna, or ingredients we're gonna include to make
So
a
we'll
very
be
nice
safe.
smell, but also
Safe.
how much amount we can use that is not gonna make any
someone.
harm to anyone.
yeah.
So we have a lot of process in that way so that all the fragrances are really like with quality and safe for everyone.
It's a good question. There is an International Fragrance Association, IFRA, and our palette 100% is following their regulatory and also is following the US, let's say, regulatory and limitations. So we follow strictly that. In fact, we are part of that association, and so our palette is complying 100%. But also, we have a regulatory guidance from Jafra. So the palette is also based on that. So feel safe that we are a serious company behind Jafra and we are following the international regulatory directions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to follow up on the question about allergies. I have 2 daughters out of 3 who just won't even get near anything that's fragrant, or who's got this on it, who's got that on it, and we all feel bad that we might have used some fragrance. So, is there, when you're doing this, if there was something that was very specific that I could get for them and prove to them that maybe they're not allergic?
What kind of, where does the allergy produce itself, on the skin or just like the?
It doesn't even make a difference if they can just walk in a room if somebody's got it on.
The headaches or.
Yeah,
So probably they are not, just don't like that much that type
like
of
they just not
fragrance.
like it. So I've gotten so used to it that I haven't even engaged in Jafra's fragrance offerings to clients.
Sometimes some of the stronger fragrances can do that. There, if you have a very white flower, like a lot of jasmine or tuberose, they call those heady flowers, which are very, very, yes. So if you have that, maybe my suggestion would to try something a little bit more fresh. Like something maybe a little bit more citrus, floral, maybe not go towards something very heavy and floral. So that's what I would try first, or something musky and fresh, something that's a little bit more lighter, which I think comes to the occasion what we're talking about.
Feeling airy.
Yeah, airy. Airy is a good word. Something more airy, maybe a little bit more playful, less heavy. Yeah?
Like what?
Yes.
Which one?
Those are the ones that I sell for my clients that have headaches and get dizzy and stuff. That's the best
Don't
one
give
for them.
up, don't give up on them, okay?
Natasha.
Yeah.
I have a kind of a silly question, but, when I put on a fragrance, if I like it, but you wonder if other people like it on you, you know, and so how do we tell it? I remember back when we used Jan Day all the time, and I would wear that, and I would go in a grocery store and people would say, oh, you smell so good. But I don't know if, you know, the fragrance I'm wearing is that way for, I mean, is there different, if we like it ourselves, does that mean that other people will like it.
Well, we passed the
First of
passion.
all, normally when we are working with Jafra creating fragrances, we start doing like a research on how fragrances are like around the world and around the specific market. So we are creating fragrances that we know it's gonna appeal to the market in that part of marketing way of seeing it. But at the end, I think this question will go more to what they were explaining. Fragrances are something so personal. For me, all the time they arrive and say, which are the best fragrance ever? I don't know, it depends on what is your best fragrance. What makes you feel safe, what makes you feel attractive, or what makes you feel comfortable, seductive. I mean, if I go run and I put a very seductive fragrance, probably I will love it, and probably the person near me will say, oh, come on, you are sweating, and with that heavy fragrance, you are not smelling very nice. But it's what makes you feel, and what makes you want to express, and what makes you feel like what you want to really demonstrate. But at the end, we are really following trends, and we know what fragrances are really appealing in the market, so we are creating things that we know the majority of the people will love, but of course it depends on your own personality and what you want to demonstrate.
And something that I want to add is the research.
Yeah.
Because every time that we just do a fragrance, and I saw those numbers, so we do focus groups, and we do like quantitative tests to see if the person reactions. Even though I have found when we went to Nice, remember, they have this machine, like you put it in your brain, and you can see the reaction of a fragrance in the mood and in the emotions of the people.
Wow.
So this is really, really important.
Can you take us there?
I did once, and it was
An incentive?
It was amazing.
Maybe
to
an
be honest.
incentive?
But what I'm trying to say is, what is the kind of emotion that you want to produce in people? So if you want to be super, so for example, if I'm gonna be super soft, a good person, so I can go with oderoms, I can go with diamond blush, for example, I can go. But if I want to everybody see me, and everybody's like, who's that girl?
Irresistible story.
Irresistible story is like, oh, when we create irresistible is, I want some smell that nobody can find it, the palette. But the other one is Adoris Night. So Adoris Night is like, she's crazy. So what I'm gonna, and I know that I'm gonna create that. So it's like high dress, like tight. So yes, but the thing is confident, and then that's why Andrea was mentioning is, what do I want to create in others? How do I want to? It's like I love to change my clothes, my hair, it's like, and a fragrance is like that. It's like, you just play. You are not always the same, and then people doesn't like when you are always the same. So
It's boring.
take the risk.
Yeah.
Take the risk.
That's what
And you
we
will surprise
sell a lot of fragrance, because a woman cannot just settle with one. You all need at least 5 to go through the week.
That's true.
Fragrance wardrobe.
Yes.
To me, the way I choose a fragrance is if my husband likes it and I like it, I'm not kidding you, then he sells it to everyone he sees.
That's awesome.
And like Paris et Moi, that's my most favorite fragrance in the world right now. And I don't believe in 5, I just wear that one all the time. It just makes me feel good. And he always says, oh, you smell so good. Like, I used to use Jandé, and suddenly he said, honey, don't use that anymore, please, it's not smelling very good. It's suddenly, I don't know whether it was the fragrance changed, my body changed.
You change your body, your hormones.
And then it took
hormones.
me a long time to try
pH.
to find one, and I kept looking and looking and looking, and I'm trying to figure out, there's another one that and you don't have it anymore.
Which one?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I'm also losing the mind, remember? So. Yeah. Anyhow, and that one, I still have a bottle at home, and you brought it back maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I bought a few, but I thought, no, I have to be with whatever is current now. What difference, I liked it, but if it no longer they make it, it's probably because it didn't sell very good.
I'll take a picture and I will show.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, I will can email you and tell you exactly which one it is, because I still have a bottle at home, but that Paris et Moi is just, I just feel like the most important woman in the world when I
Yeah,
put it
that's
on.
and that's important. So there's a joke in perfume, and I'm gonna sit down. But there's a- when we were creating the new launch that we will see in a national conference, I was said, "Oh my God, it smells like a handsome guy." No? So it's like, oh, super handsome, and then suddenly it's not. Sorry. No. So what I'm trying to say is when you smell something, you create like a fantasy, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
And that
fun-
is all about creative fantasy.
I wanted to mention that we have thousands of ingredients, but believe it or not, any ingredient we add into our palette, we test among many consumers in New York, in Sao Paulo, in Mexico, in Paris, and they express what they feel about that ingredient. So when we receive a brief from Jafra, okay, I wanted to express the happiness of the new generation. So we need to understand what is happiness to them. So why they feel so happy, why they feel so colorful. When we start to find the words, we send to them, this is all about a fresh happiness. And they can see into the computer of the designing labs which are the ingredients that are connected to that feeling. So our palette is totally, let's say, measured by consumers. And there is a big department we call consumer science department. So this is part of and that's why your opinion is very important. By the way, we are gonna be starting to test a new project with you also. So some of you will be invited.
Sure.
Okay, so my question is about the chemistry, the body chemistry, and the fragrances. In introducing a product, like you say, you already have the top note, your middle note, the heart, and you have your bottom note.
Yeah.
When a client tries on a particular, immediately you have the top note.
Yeah.
So as they wear it during the day, the body chemistry is working with it and maybe perhaps change, and then they don't like it anymore. They may like it early in the morning, but it's not kind of doing what I wanted to do.
What do you do?
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about that chemistry change, and when a client about talking to that client about the fact that there's 3 notes, and is it a time release thing? So that's part of my question. And then the other follow-up is if the perfumer who has the final say or whatever likes that fragrance, is that how it comes out to the market?
No.
Okay.
We heard it from back there.
That was easy.
No, because, so for example, I am gonna smell, as soon as you are with Kathy, we are gonna smell.
Right.
So they can bring, like, for example, for lunch, a fragrance, we work with several houses. So the houses, we said, you can just present 2 or 3. So in order for them to present us 2 or 3, they do how many?
Oh, God.
Sometimes even 45.
So they can do 45, and then they have like these focus groups, and they select, they bring 3, they present us 3 each house, we smell. And then, because we know what we have, we give them a brief. So we know, like,